Welcome back to a day in the life of a cookie artist living in New York. I started my day by making a sugar and butter run to Target. And for those of you who are about to comment, oh, why don't you buy in bulk? Why don't you get this stuff from Costco? Listen, I've tried. They are always out of powdered sugar, and the butter recipe changed last year, so it's watered down, so I can't buy the butter from Costco. So for now, Target will do. Anyways, once I got back, I had to do a double batch of icing because I knew I was going to fly through it for the week. And I just love when my royal icing turns into this fluff-like consistency. For the most part, the consistency right out of the mixer is what I use for outline. And then I'll typically water it down if I need a flood consistency. Once that was prepped and ready to go for the week, I cleaned up my space and started working on icing for my next order. Thankfully, this order didn't have too many colors, so it didn't take too long. And then I had to backtrack to finish another set I was working on earlier that morning. Since this set was fully flooded, all I had to do was add additional details like this pasta, and these are the finished cookies. Next, I had to lay out the cookies for my next order, which was a Nutcracker ballet theme with Love Shack Fancy, which was totally my vibe because I grew up doing the Nutcracker and wanted to be a ballerina when I was younger. So when they asked for ballet type cookies, I was so excited. So for this set, I decided to do ballet slippers, a bow, a tutu, and then a Love Shack Fancy frame in pink, which I thought was the perfect combination for the theme they were going for. Also, at this point in the evening, my apartment was absolutely freezing. So please excuse my mismatched layers. I just had to be as warm as possible. Once the base layer was flooded, I added some additional details and then went back over them with my third layer of details. And then it was time to clean up my space. Thankfully, it wasn't too late in the evening. Lately, I've been staying up until 4 o'clock in the morning, but this was an early night for me. And of course, I have icing remnants on my sweatshirt. Woke up the next day to add some additional details on the two sets that I completed. This one just needed some additional paint for dimension, like for the florals and for this Aperol Spritz cookie. And of course, this step isn't always necessary, but this is what creates those hyper-realistic cookies. Then the only additional details I had to add to the Love Shack Fancy order was this metallic gold. And something about adding metallic gold always brings the set together. Next, it was time to package this tropical birthday set. You could just tell that this person loved to travel, loved the beach, which really made me want to go on vacation. Once those are all packaged up, I sent them downstairs for delivery and then moved on to packaging the Love Shack Fancy order. Something about this set was so nostalgic to me. I think a lot of it has to do with my obsession with ballet when I was younger. I can even remember the exact moment I realized I wanted to be a professional dancer, which is when I saw Maria Krowski from New York City Ballet perform in Ruby's. I was attending a ballet summer intensive at the time in Saratoga Springs, and once a week we got to see New York City Ballet perform at the Saratoga Performing Arts Center. At the end of every performance, a bunch of us also went to the stage door to get autographs from some of our favorite ballerinas, and I remember being so awestruck when meeting Maria Krowski for the first time because she is also a tall dancer like myself, which was such an inspiration when I decided to pursue dance as a professional career. Once I arrived to the location to deliver the cookies, I was even more nostalgic because I knew my younger self would have loved the point shoe Christmas tree that they put up.